In this we're all the same. We're links in the chain.
Awesome.
Hey, we're back.
What's up, everyone? Good morning, good afternoon, good evening from wherever you're tuning in from. This is Working It Out Across Generations. I am Justin.
And I am Dr. Lynn.
And here we talk all things conflict, big and small, and how they affect our everyday lives. We try to give some tips and tricks, but also just try to have some conversation, create space for everyone to, have a seat at the table, to be honest. That's really what we're about here. So we have a really, really cool topic today. I think it's actually very fitting for just a lot of what's going on right now in the world and what's been going on in the world for, past few years now. And I think I'm going to pass this over to Dr. Lynn to start us off. But is cheating ever an acceptable part of culture?
Yeah.
That's what we're talking about today.
Yeah, and also if you're just tuning in for the first time, not only do we talk all things conflict, but we talk about it across generations.
Yes.
And hey, sometimes that leads us into our own conflicts with one another, but that's why we do what we do. So cheating, I really think that a lot of us, when they think of cheating, you think about relationships, right? Someone being unfaithful to you in a relationship. And yeah, there's a whole lot of that going on. But, listen, it has been since the beginning of time, right? That people have been cheating on one another. But cheating is so much more than that. And particularly these days, you could be cheating so many, I'm sorry to say it, but young people are cheating on exams, right? And some people are making a living off of helping people cheat off of exams, taking their SATs for them or writing papers. And that's all a part of cheating. Cheating on the resumes. Yeah, you might exaggerate just a little, but putting things that you never ever did. Hey, that's cheating. And there's just so much going on today that we're starting to wonder that isn't it acceptable part of culture today? Well, hey, people are going to cheat. That's how it goes. I know a lot of times when you talk about relationships, there's I think there's like two camps sometimes, like very strong camp. No,
Yeah.
right?
I can never do that. I can never forgive that.
Right.
I could never. Yeah. It's very black and white from what I've been seeing.
Yeah. And even in your generation,
1,000%,
like, wow.
1,000%. There's like no middle ground, and the middle ground, I guess, is to just kind of like stay to yourself and do what you want. So like that's the only like real gray area, right? It's kind of like don't, especially when we're talking relationships, right? Like it's like don't get in one and just kind of do whatever you want.
Right.
Or it's like you're all the way in and you're dating to marry or trying to at least, and then something messes that up because you're young.
Right.
And then, just the people who are like, oh my God, if you ever do that to me ever again, I'll never talk to you and you're a terrible person and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
So.
And yet there's a whole lot of cheating going on.
Yeah. Like everyone, that's my thing. Everyone is or has or like thought about it at least. Like that's definitely my thing for sure. Yeah.
I mean, or approaching people to cheat, like saying, hey, if they don't, what they say in my time, I think they probably still say it now. What they don't know won't hurt them, right? They eventually find out, and it's hurting the relationship. But in any case, I also feel like there's that other camp, right? That is like, hey, everybody's doing it, or it's not really cheating if you don't get caught. And that's for whatever form of cheating. I've been hearing that particular saying, and I've been hearing it long before your generation. It seems to me, and maybe it's because we are exposed to each other more through social media, so we are really getting people's stories of cheating. I don't know that it was happening less, perhaps, when I was growing up. I honestly can't say because I didn't know that many people in my circle, and there was really not a way of knowing beyond your circle unless the media was reporting it, and believe me, they weren't reporting it. So what do you all think? Is cheating an acceptable part of culture? I love the topic because I know that I have found it, not a lot of people have said, I don't cheat. Well, I don't know, maybe you not telling the truth because you don't want to get caught. That, but I think people are usually pretty upfront and honest when they get into the conversation about cheating. And at some point, I don't know if I know more people who have cheated in some way or less, but I do know enough people for me to be thinking, wow, is that okay? And people who hear about someone cheating and say, hey, that's how it goes, or who's not cheating, or why is that a big deal, or everybody cheats. All of those things lead me to believe that I think we're in a time and space where it is acceptable. It's an acceptable part of the culture, or at least people are accepting that there's nothing you can do about it. It seems to be that piece to me.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
will. I will definitely say, at least generationally speaking, that we've definitely taken on that messaging as kind of the new truth around this, right? Of like, you really can't change what people are gonna do. You can only influence so much someone else's like, actions and things like that, right? But it's really up to them to consider you, and if even that, right? And things of that nature. So I think that for my generation, we very much, from I love how we've already brought up other areas, right? Like school, right? Like you can
Yeah.
guarantee that in college, kids are out here writing essays for each other and, taking tests for each other, right? I really did not know that. Like, I didn't really know, I guess, about the school part of school. When I went to school, I knew about the social and the fun parts. So I was having a lot more fun, right? But, I was still like doing my stuff. But to know, like, if I looked left or I looked right, I'm like, yo, bro, like how'd you get that done so fast? Like, I know you were, working on that for a while. It's like, oh, like I got someone else to do it for me. Like, wow,
Really?
like,
They
yeah,
really say that.
yeah, no problem. No problem. It's like, yeah, bro, I got my homie to do it for me. Toss him whatever, and it's
Right.
cool. So it really is everywhere, and it really has become something where it's kind of just like, no big deal, I guess, to a lot of people in my generation for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like every aspect of cheating, right? Like maybe cheating a game, maybe it's especially cheating out of job opportunities and things like that.
Right.
We definitely will do whatever it takes to give ourselves that leg up.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like there's definitely more of just like that competitive nature in the world now.
Right.
Not that we haven't always been a competitive world and always been, kind of about like, this side versus that side and who's going to duke it out to the win, right? But I think we've definitely just like embraced that culture more. So with that comes the opportunities for, you know, uh, just like misconduct, I guess, as you could say, like as a more formal word.
Right.
But oh my gosh, especially around relationships, with young people,
Yeah.
we are just like, you know, I say doomed, but like when it comes to like love and stuff like that, I personally say doomed. I know a lot of young people out there would agree with me, my age and stuff, but um, I mean, my gosh, it's all the time. It's everywhere. It's in your face. It's just like rude almost at times. Some of the times in which I've seen, boys and girls my age, men and women my age, like really go at it and disrespect what they've built um, for the sake of a fun night or for the sake of a fun trip. Which, hey, it's your life, as we've said through top of all of this. Like, we really cannot change what people do.
Right.
However, I think it is an important conversation when we talk about the introspection as to why we do these things, and I think that a lot of people my age have a good sense of maybe why certain things are the reason why they do the things they do, but there still needs to be, I think, more foundation as to how uh, we go about asking ourselves these questions and having these conversations with ourselves before we go out there hurting other people potentially. So I think we could use more of that. However, it is left and right, everywhere, up and down. Just people are cheating, and people are not feeling bad about it.
That's the piece.
Not feeling bad about it. People are feeling very just, hey, that's just the world, right? It's a jungle of a world. I've heard that before, right? Everyone's surviving out here and trying to thrive. So we've definitely taken on that part of the culture, that aspect of it. So yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, well, you definitely, I really have to say, when I was growing up, there was a big emphasis on calling out cheaters in school. There was
Really?
definitely, oh, absolutely. Oh, he's looking at my paper. He's cheating on my,
Oh,
he's copying off my exam. Like,
yeah,
people
yeah,
would
yeah, yeah.
call out other people
Maybe in like
cheating.
elementary school for me, and then once middle and high, and especially college hit, it was just like
Yeah,
doing what you do, like do what you do and don't get caught, right? Like, definitely the don't get caught
right.
element. We've for sure taken that on
Yeah,
of like, coming up with the
you're
plan.
majoring in that.
Yeah, like coming up with the plans to make sure, or trying to come up with a plan, to make sure the other person or whatever other source doesn't find out what's going on, and
Right.
kind of like having like banter in that. We've taken up the banter and the little
Right.
fun in that, in the mischievousness of that, and I don't know how fun that is in the grand scheme of culture. Just in the
Yeah.
grand scheme of culture, it's always fun in the moment, but for everyone, for the grand scheme of society, like what does that really look like, and how does that map out for dynamics? That's what I think is important to me.
Yeah, well, it's interesting because, so for school wise, like I said, growing up in my generation, cheating was a big thing. And all the way through high school, it was not one of these things where people were constantly cheating and people were feeling good about people cheating. It really was just, we were brought up to believe that it was wrong. You do your work, you study hard, you do your homework, whatever it is, and you not only don't you cheat, but that you let your teacher know somebody else is cheating, or you tell that person, like, you shouldn't be cheating. So that piece. But I'm gonna say in relationships, I really honestly had such a hard time once I got into the college age, realizing how much not just cheating was going on, but in particular as a woman, how women were told, well, men are going to cheat. Like, that's not a reason to leave a marriage, to break up in a relationship. That we were really groomed in having to think that way. So it was
Yeah.
acceptable for men, right? For women, I'm not saying that women weren't cheating, because I know that they were, but it was not, it was more like shocking or not acceptable when it was a woman doing, but it was really a part of the culture by the time I was growing up.
That makes a lot of sense. I've definitely
Does it?
heard messaging like that, and I think the messaging has shifted now. At least the conversation
Mhm.
has shifted now in the sense of like, people are on podcasts, having conversations about like who cheats more and like
Oh, yeah.
what does that look like,
Uh-huh.
signs of if a woman's cheating, and
Right.
like who can get away with it easier, and like dissecting how women can get away with it
Right.
easier. So I just mean to bring that up in the sense of like the conversation
Mhm.
has shifted when it comes to like y'all being brought up around it. Like it's a lot more, I don't want to say acceptable because it makes it seem like I'm like making it accept, like I'm the one
Right.
saying it's acceptable,
Right.
but that's like, it's a lot more just like, I guess, normalized in the
Yeah,
fact
yes.
that like, like everyone has the capacity to do so.
Right.
And really dissecting how it looks different in both. So I really appreciated that, because
Yeah.
I know the messaging for men hasn't changed a single bit.
And I
But
don't think it has for women either,
oh,
in
word,
terms
okay.
of just, you need a good man. So there's
Oh,
not
okay.
enough good men out there.
Okay,
And
yeah,
so
that
people
hasn't
believe
changed
for
either.
cheating.
That hasn't
I
changed
mean,
either.
they all. I mean, and
Yeah, that hasn't changed
I
either.
still
That's real.
hear that out there,
For sure.
and so I know that it's across generations that is the message that is being put out there. I know in my parents' generation, it absolutely was a part of that. I can remember being really surprised, disheartened, disappointed when I found out how many men my dad's age who were married, who were cheating like on the regular.
Wow.
And hey, my dad was one of them. And I found that out later in life too. And
Damn, Grandpa.
yeah, and I have to say, it was never all right with me. And
Yeah.
I know I didn't know everything about my parents' marriage, but I still was
Yeah.
like, because he really was the serial cheater. So we're not even talking about there's a difference between one time and then can you forgive that,
Right.
but you keep going at it. And we would run into women going out with him. Anyway, putting my
Yeah.
business out in the street, but he's
Yeah.
no longer, he's
Yeah.
no longer on with us on this plane. So, and he knew who he was, and so did a lot of people know. So it is what it is. But I'm here to say he was more the norm than the exception in his generation, and the same, right, that seemed to trickle down to my generation. And it is, I think, as you said, it's almost normalized, more normalized, because it was normalized then, but I'm not saying every man was cheating or every woman wasn't. I'm just saying that now it seems like, yeah, and right. So what? People are cheating,
Yeah.
and that's how it goes. And
People even have that approach with the good ones.
what do you mean?
Like, just like and like it happens. Like,
Right.
people do stuff. I'm allowed to live my life and whatever. And it's like you still got just a nice person, a good one right there who's fully attentive to whatever on both sides, right? And it's more of, that's why I brought up earlier, kind of like going against and or disrespecting what you're building with someone or with something within something, by going against the grain like that in this way. So very, very layered. And I think that people do have to do that introspection with themselves, because at the end of the day, it's about not putting out what you don't want for yourself.
Right.
So like, it's one of those things, at least at this, that I think for cheating, you better be prepared for, someone one day, even in your most valid spiritual awakening, to remind you that that's not okay, and let you know that you're human.
Are they even going to remind you? Because I'm just thinking, there's that show Cheaters, that and that's big. That has a big audience, and people tune in to see the person getting caught. I've only seen maybe 3 or 4 episodes. They've all been the men that's cheating, but I have no idea. It could be that there's just as many episodes with the guy catching the
I don't watch Cheaters, so
I'm telling you, I've only seen like 3 or 4 episodes, and I haven't seen whole episodes. But I know that it's a big show. People like to watch it, and I don't know whether they like to watch it for the ideas of how to cheat better, or whether they like to watch it for seeing somebody get what's coming to them because they were cheating on someone. But I do know that show has captured a big audience. So are you cheating out there? What do you think about cheating? Have you even thought about it? And
would you be honest about it? That's the real question.
Not even just in a relationship, like
just on anything,
like on a test. There are people that get paid to take the SATs for someone, and I know that they are catching more and more of them, but it's still happening. And as we said, taking somebody's exam for them, and
how do you even catch
papers? Oh, there's
like ways, like systems and stuff for ways to catch that.
I was gonna say there are people whose job it is.
Really?
Yes. Oh yeah. There's people whose job it is to catch people who cheat on their self, who make false IDs and come and say that they're this person.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I really tried in school. So I don't know. I didn't know any of this. Any of this. Literally any of this. That's really interesting.
Because it got so bad, right? And
I wonder what that pays.
What?
That job? Yeah,
the job to catch people?
Yeah, you got some skills. No, the job to catch that. You got some skills for that. You got some.
But they look, because with the SATs especially, there's a very small percentage that get a certain
score.
True, right?
True.
So they kind of start there. Then they're looking at various numbers.
So many different things.
Right? Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah,
I'll do some more research on that. Some more homework on that.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing. Hey, watch Shameless. There was an episode.
Oh, of course,
Remember,
yeah. When Lip was
Lip
cheating, yeah,
Lip
Lip was
the one that
cheating,
was
yeah.
taking the exams. So that's how I found
Shout
out.
out Shameless, it's a great show.
Shout out Shameless. Yes, it's in repeats. It's on Netflix, but it's a great show, and that it is an
Yeah, it's a
instance
good point.
of All right. So whether or not it is an acceptable part of the culture, we really want to talk about some things that we think could be helpful to you if this is what you are involved in. If you need to have a conversation with someone who is someone in your life who's cheating in whatever way, right? Then we want to give you some help with that because it's not an easy conversation and a lot of people don't want to have it. One of the things that was interesting for me, someone who's your age, who a little bit older than you, I remember having a conversation with him and he said, I don't cheat. And what I would say to people who do is, why don't you invest the energy that you're investing in cheating in actually strengthening your relationship? Like, it's a lot of energy that goes into cheating. So why don't you just put it into your relationship and see what happens? Anyway, so let's
It's a
give
valuable
you some,
question.
It's
a
a
valuable
great
question.
because it does take energy to be in a relationship, and it takes energy to cheat on that relationship. All right. Same thing if you're talking about tests, homework. Why don't you invest the energy in studying and doing your homework that you're investing in cheating?
Studying's whack, but yeah, that's still it's the better.
It's the better.
It's hard, but like it's the better thing. It just says.
All right. Okay. So we're about to give you 3 tips for talking with someone who cheats. The first one is present what you know about what they are doing and not listen. I know this is not easy because if they are not ready to own it, they will come up with all kinds of excuses.
Very
Then
true.
they try to gaslight you. They try to make you think something wrong with you because no, that's not what happened. Remember how big the song was? It wasn't me. Remember that?
That song is still money.
It is, but that was the whole thing. He's counseling him to just say it wasn't, like if she saw you, she did. No, just say it wasn't you. And people really loved the song. It wasn't just the beat; it was the message. But I loved at the end that he told them something wrong with you because I'm not doing none of that that you just told me. But the fact that the whole song, really, the majority of the song was about denying it, is the point that I'm making here, is that it's not always easy, but you still want to be able to say, here's the deal. Here's what I know. Here's what I've seen. And I need to just say this to you because otherwise you are allowing them to do that. Right. And if you think it has no effect or they think it has no effect, then they are absolutely wrong. What energy we put out into the world, it gets returned.
Comes back to us.
It gets returned. And you can turn your head and say, well, I'll act like I don't see. But the reality is, if you do, and it is hurting, harming, bothering you, you need to decide to have that conversation with that person and let them know you know what they're doing.
Absolutely. I second all of that.
Okay. The next thing is let them know the effect it has had on you. Chances are we'll wait until the last minute for some of these things. And I'm going to speak from the parental point of view, right? So we're not even talking about relationships. I'm talking about if you know that your young person, because we don't even have to talk elementary school, if you know they're cheating and you decide that you're not going to say anything, you hope they'll stop, you hope they'll go out of it, or all of the kids are, that has an effect on you. If that's not who you are naturally, then it's changing you. If that is who you are naturally, then you are raising another cheater And that means that they are going to have some kind of effect on other people in the world. So if you're going to sit down and talk about it, whatever the cheating mode is, or methodology is, you want to let them know, hey, it really bothers me to hear you talk with your friends about how easy it is to cheat, or how you don't mind paying for somebody to write a paper for you because you just don't feel like doing the work. Whatever it is, right? Let them know the effect on you. It makes me feel like you don't understand actually how smart, powerful, whatever it is you are. And as a parent, if you didn't bring them up like that, you gotta let them know. And we didn't raise you like that. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's good stuff. And I think for me too, this is important and, more personal too, because I know that there's certain relationships, friendships, if we're talking, people exchanges, right?
Right.
That I have not pursued, that I have not, you know, um, allowed to go on much longer, and I've cut off because I've seen, I guess their character with other people or other things, right? And even just recently, I had a friend, very very close friend, cheat another one of my friends out of some money, like and even though it was a small amount, right? It's one of
Yeah.
those
Oh
it's
my
one of
God,
those
yes.
principles and morals things, especially when we're all so close. I mean, this is like 7+ years friendship, between all of us and stuff. So like, especially if we're so close. It's one of those things for me, and for I know a lot of people, that it's like I brought it up to people in the sense of, well, if you would do that to this person,
Mm.
then I don't know why I should feel like I'm exempt from your
Wow.
behavior. I've
Wow.
happily brought that up. And,
Mhm.
some people like that and can take that and can, go home and marinate on that and
Mhm.
maybe even come back to me and have a conversation. But a lot of people, I think, maybe it's not that they can't hear that, but maybe they haven't been checked in that way before with something like that. Um, and that all comes down to, right, like, really, what were you exposed to, like how were you brought up, like how do these things like add up into what has become, honestly habitual for some people, like, the like cheating out of money, the pocketing, whatever out of nowhere is like nothing for some people. Like, people don't see that as like immoral or as like,
Yeah.
breaking a principle. And let alone relationship infidelity, people really, there's some people out there who really don't see that as any sort of like disrespect to
Mm.
foundation and things like that. So I know, especially with even relationships, it's been like, oh yeah, if you would do that to this person,
Mhm.
um, I don't know why I should feel like you wouldn't do that to me.
Right.
And that's something that has an effect on me, because at the end of the day, like, these can be people that, you love, you care about, people that you're genuinely close with, people that, whatever. But if I have to distance myself, right, I'm very much like, I tell myself like I'm the CEO of my life, right? So if I have to promote you, if I have to demote you, like I will. So if I have to distance myself, it doesn't mean I don't love you. It's more just like I'm making a very strong mental note of that's how you're moving in the world, and especially with people you might even be more comfortable with than me. So
Yeah,
yeah, I
that's
take
interesting.
notes of stuff like that for sure.
That's interesting because one big thing with me is when somebody gives me too much change, I'm the first one to say, hey, you gave me too much change. It's big with me because I'm going to say, people who don't do that, let it be the reverse. Let them give you less change than you are supposed to have. And you're going to tell me you're going to walk away and not say anything? Of course, you're going to say anything because you know the effect that that has on you. Oh, I got less money in my pocket. Especially when you're talking about an establishment, somebody works, somebody's got to account for that money that was overpaid, and it's that particular cashier that's going to have to account for it. So for me, that's big. For some people, if they found a wallet on the street, is that cheating? I don't know. But you brought up that cashing. To me, that's cheating. To me, when you just too bad, they should have been smarter. They should have done better. Not my problem. Not yeah. That kind of energy in the universe is cheating.
Yeah, for sure.
Stay calm. Yeah, that can be. I think because I don't want to take away people's ability to be passionate about what they're passionate about, right? It's what's the relative stages of calmness for someone. Like calm for you might be different for than calm for me. But I will tell you, one of the things that I find that gets in the way of people staying calm is the longer they wait to address the issue. It builds up. Now you might have been hurt, but able to be calm when you first discovered the issue. But because you put it off, you avoided, you made excuses. Now it's going on days, weeks, months. By the time you decide to have this conversation, it could be very difficult because you could be close to exploding, especially if they give you an answer that you really don't like or know is a lie. So staying calm, I think you gotta approach the conversation sooner in order to be calm. And being calm in the situation, I helps to bring sincerity and truth and boundaries to what you're saying.
Yeah, the boundaries piece. I really support the boundaries piece because that's the thing you're gonna have to stand on, firmest when it comes to having these kinds of conversations and confronting these issues, right? At the end of the day, these are, I think, emotional situations that can really can get heightened and can very much escalate very quickly just on the emotional side alone.
Right.
And so yeah, standing on your boundaries, I think, is really, really important. It's kind of like standing on business, right? In the sense of like, this is what I feel, this is where I'm at, and I'm open to what you have to say, but we really have to hold all of what's here, right? And I think that a lot of that also takes a lot of pre-work for these conversations, right? So a lot of that looking in the mirror, right? Like getting yourself ready, like like maybe even practicing a couple of those points that are very hard for you to even just say, not alone, let alone maybe how you might be nervous of how the other person's going to respond, right? Definitely do those things. Breathe, right? Your breathing techniques, right? Parasympathetic breathing. Just your mindset, the words you're using, right? Your diction, like all of these different things, I think really add up, as well as not letting it linger too long, right? I think it really adds up to, just standing more firm in really what you believe in when honestly being faced with a confrontation where it's like, the whole conversation is, you went against something that I believe in, right? And what are we going to do about that? And that's tough. That's tough for a lot of people to address on both sides, rightfully so. But there's a way to do it in which everyone leaves with some sort of energy that they still have for themselves, that they can analyze and marinate with after. So.
Yeah, and unfortunately, when you see instances of cheating, like mostly you'll see them in the media, not as you may see them in real life, but I'm just saying the way that they play out, right? Nobody's calm, and it explodes because it's TV or whatever, right? But
That's what sells.
right, and that's the model that's presented. But what we're saying to you is there's a reason why it doesn't work on TV either. It's because you really do need to come from a place of calm.
Yeah, absolutely. So now let's talk about, some of those questions that we think are really important to ask yourself about cheating, whether you're a cheater or, have been cheated on, right? Or you cheated before, right? Just these are very good introspective questions to ask when it comes to this topic, because again, it's all about what you're putting out in the world and what you're honestly willing to have put back into your world. And I think that a lot of people don't give enough consideration to that part of the conversation around cheating. So let's get into some of the questions that we think are important. The first one is, what am I afraid of? Right? I think the main thing is, at least from what I've heard, of why people cheat or why people, just do whatever they do and however way they do it, is maybe they feel like, happiness or a real thing or feeling the real feelings is too hard for them, right? That maybe they're not, strong enough to do a certain thing, the straight and narrow way. So they got to cut corners, because that feels more comfortable or safe, right? Whatever it is. And however you come to these conclusions when you ask this question, I think that it's just very important as an entry point to dissecting, why we do the things that we do, literally asking why. What am I afraid of? What scares me about, the opposite side of what I'm comfortable and used to.
Yeah.
And I think that, again, we've had an episode where it talks about getting comfortable with the uncomfortable, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is part of that work. And I think this is just so much more valuable than people really give it, the real voice to that deserves.
Yeah, I think the what am I afraid of is across the board. If you are cheating, what are you afraid of? Are you afraid that you're not smart enough to pass the exam? Are you afraid of someone if you don't pass the exam? Right? Are you afraid of being in relationship? Are you afraid that they're gonna cheat first, or they're cheating
Or
anyway?
on the opposite side, are you afraid of being alone?
Yeah,
I've heard that a lot of like, I stay with this person or this type of person or keep these people around because I'm afraid to be alone. I've heard that, a lot of times too, as to why, relationships are things that people
right,
continue to go for, even with, similar
right,
outcomes, and dynamics. Yeah, I've
right.
definitely heard that before.
Yeah, that's a good one. Are you afraid that you're going to get too involved, that they're going
Yeah.
to drag you down the aisle? Are you afraid that you're going to not be attractive anymore? If you're in this marriage maybe and you're afraid that you're with this one person the rest of your life. People come to that realization at some point. Wow, the rest of my life. That Are you afraid of doing that commitment?
Like,
That
bro, we dated for 2 years and we're 21. Like, just enjoy yourself.
right. But
I
it's
so feel that. I
but
so
it's
feel
like
that.
that
That's
that could be a
hilarious.
fear for
Yeah,
people,
that's
that
hilarious.
no, now that I'm in this long-term relationship, other people are not going to find me attractive or whatever. But you got to ask yourself that question, because that is at the root of cheating. Sorry, there's a fear there.
Yeah, absolutely. Next, what void am I trying to fill
Hmm.
with cheating? And I think that,
Hmm.
this is another question that comes a lot with, analyzing just how certain things maybe happened in your life or maybe what you've been exposed to, um, lack thereof, or maybe too much thereof, right? And really being able to understand the levels of what, influence that certain things had, right? So maybe it's, the absence of an authority figure, right? Like within your parents, or I don't know. There's just so many like different areas. I'm trying to think. Maybe you have someone else that um, also loves to cheat people out of money and like whatever it is, right? Really being able to decipher for yourself, like, how did all this come to be for me, and how did it come up in my life, and what gap am I trying to bridge here within that, right? Why does this feel like the answer, um, or the most comfortable, again, safe, whatever it is? I really use those words intentionally, right? Because I think that the more things you feed, the more things that are just going to become habitual for you. So um, really, what am I missing? Why do I feel like that's something that I'm missing? um, what do I need from having that? What do I gain from having that certain thing, right? And potentially, if you're ready, how can I do something to get there that's different from what I'm used to? But I think there's definitely voids out there that people are trying to fill, and um, maybe they just don't have the right foundation, or the things that they've been exposed to is definitely playing a role in how they take those next steps in their future. So that's something that I've definitely noticed in my experiences with people.
Yeah, I think you have to. I think this is deeper than even the fear question, because you have to really be able to be willing to go back in your life and see what has been missing, and how and when this idea of carrying out a plan to cheat came about for you. It didn't just come about because society says, it's okay. It's
Yeah,
there's right there's
we're
something there.
reinforced all the time, and even subconsciously reinforcing ourselves. Yeah,
hmm
that's very
There's
true.
something there, whether
So
you
true.
you feel unworthy, and this fills that
Mm,
void of feeling worthy, and across the board. It doesn't matter. A relationship, absolutely, that could play out for you, but even just cheating on an exam, like there could be that feeling of feeling unworthy there, but you have to explore that. I would say with a professional is probably best, but at least being able to have the courage to face yourself and say something's missing. What is it? What void am I trying? Am I looking for love, and this is how I think that I get it? Whatever it is, there's a void. Otherwise, cheating wouldn't be satisfactory to you, even if you tried it a few times, even if you did, even if it was like a couple of years that you did it, or a couple of relationships, or whatever it was, and then you just moved on, right, and did something else. Well, you were trying to fill some kind of void, and it could be really to your advantage to investigate that.
yeah, absolutely. Lastly, what is one step that I can take to stop? I think this is a great question. It's all about, just planting a different seed and feeding that for a while and seeing how that goes, right? I think that, quitting or changing any sort of habit, right? Any sort of thing that, we've made second nature for ourselves is very, very difficult. Anything, and especially stuff that comes when it comes to the emotional sides of us, right? Um, that's really where we try to protect ourselves most. That's really where we try to hold ourselves most and uplift ourselves most, at least in a trying sense, right? But there's times where we gotta grow out of certain things, right? There's just times where we got to step out of our comfort zone and step out of what we're used to. I think that for a lot of people, they look at things that are happening in their life and look at things that they want to change, and they know the things that they want to change. It's that first step. It's that first question, right? Like what can I do? Like what's next, right? What's the new thing, right? What can I try? What else could I possibly be good at, right? These are all umbrella questions for what we're bringing up here, because it's all about really growth and evolution, and with that comes shedding some layers of your skin to make room for new armor, to be completely real. And I think that's how we get stronger. I think that's how we put better stuff out there. And I think that that's how other people address their stuff too, right? Is by being that model, by simply asking yourself these questions and saying that, it's okay to, you're safe to, especially within yourself. And definitely really important to at least just take one step. People I think often think 5 years down the line, 2 years down the line, anything like that. And they also think, objectively. So it's like, if I don't get this out of that, then why would I do that? What I think is, we really are on a journey within ourselves until we go, and even after, of just understanding ourselves and understanding what we put out there. And I think that this is the perfect question for when you reach that point of getting some answers with some of the other things we just talked about. What's the next thing? What can I do to change up, some of the things that I'm used to.
Yeah, I think all of that is great. I really do. And you've got to really look at deciding that you want to take one step. And it doesn't have to be a huge giant step, but it needs to be one step in the opposite direction. If you are cheating, one step you can do is just be aware of whether or not this really is you, right? Is this your character to cheat? Or has it just been laid out as so easy to do? Or the thing that everybody does? Well, is it truly you? Have you ever felt badly about it? That's your first check in, right? And so, really investigating. So, one step I can take is to really decide whether or not this is who I am. Another step you can take is to, if you decide that this is who you are, that you're all right with this, you really don't see the harm, take the step of understanding the harm on the other side. Then is that important enough for you to consider that this is behavior that you probably need to stop, especially in a relationship? Is this something that's really bothering the other person that you say that you care about? It's one thing if you've agreed, then it's not really cheating, right? It's an open relationship. But it's another thing when you know that you're going behind someone's back. And some of the things that people are doing in relationships in terms of who they're cheating with are really, really hurtful. People cheating with their partner's sibling or parent. I mean, it goes it goes best friend,
Yeah, that's it.
roommate,
Yeah.
right? All of those things are happening, and I think people are not paying attention to what is the harm that's being done on the other side. Whether I think it's not a big deal, because let me tell you, in relationships, there are times, plenty of times, where one person expresses that it is a big deal to them and the other one doesn't see it as a big deal. But if you're committed in a relationship, you can decide, but it's a big deal to them. So that's got to be enough of a reason for me to take a step to stopping this behavior.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this was a very, very good conversation in the sense of, again, where we are in the world right now. And, I think at the end of the day, we are here to just, show that you can have these conversations, you can disagree, you can feel differently, you can literally leave and not take anything with you and do what you want to do. But it's about keeping these conversations ongoing and showing people that, it is possible to have a safe space and a safe container for the different emotions and the heightened emotions that can come up in these, very deep topics for all of us. We're all people here. We're all sharing this soil. We're all feeling the same stuff. It's just at different times, right? And so, we can speak to that. It's okay to speak to that. And, if you're out there cheating, I would definitely, ask yourself those questions, right? Start that introspection and, see what comes up for yourself. And, you know, um, if you're someone who, I guess, life has cheated in a lot of ways, then I know for certain that it's not going to be like that forever, and that you're definitely going to get everything that you need and that you deserve, and your time to shine in authenticity. So um, everyone can win here. Everyone can win here. Just find a way to do it.
Yeah, I think it's a great conversation too. And one of the things that just came up for me that I think is real too, there's there's a there's too much working from the ego space. When you're cheating, you are definitely in that space. It's about you. And it doesn't take into consideration anyone else in society, in your world, in your space, right in your realm. It's just all about what is serving and feeding you. And we've got to come out of that space because, quite frankly, if you look around, that's what is happening here in the world. There's so much acting from the space of ego that we're not even considering the community that we are in. And one of the ways to build a healthy community is to acknowledge that you are not in this by yourself and that there are other people and other people's feelings and wishes to consider, and it's worth considering.
Absolutely. Good stuff. So you guys know what to do. If you want to join us for another episode of Working It Out Across Generations, catch us on E360TV.com, Trajectory Channel, Roku, Amazon Fire, Apple TV, and more services out there like LG and more.
And watch us on your big screen.
Yes, absolutely. You can check us live when we go live at 1 p.m. Eastern on Wednesdays at Facebook.com, Working It Out TV show. We've got a YouTube out there. We've got a whole bunch of shorts, and we're going to be putting episodes out on there. Working It Out Across Generations. Y'all, I mean, I say this all the time, but can't stress enough. just how much every like, share,
Mhm.
view,
Follow.
just
Subscribe.
subscribe, anything, like all of it adds up for us. We truly think that, you know, small is all. So thank you so much to any and everyone who's just engaged with us during this time, especially the people who, you know, commented over, you know, multiple episodes and things like that, you know, bringing in some of that engagement. We really appreciate it all. We got a whole lot more cool topics for you. We're really excited to start our season 3 really soon.
It's gonna come up in
And
October.
yeah, that's gonna be really great. And I'm Justin.
And I am Dr. Lynn, and I have enjoyed this time together.
Yeah, we'll see you soon. This is Working It Out. Have a good one, y'all.
Oh, before we go, you know what we say. Conflict is here to teach us something about ourselves. So go out there and find out what it is.
Good stuff. That could have been conflicting if I didn't say that. So see you guys.